And welcome everybody to the GWC podcast for the 6th episode. My name is TheCupofJoe. I will be your host today, this afternoon, this evening, this morning, whenever you may be watching this. But today we're going to get in onto a topic that has been in the ether, as it were, in the gaming community because of a clip which we will be showing you momentarily once I introduce my very special guest, Mr. Jfabiano. How are you doing today, this wonderful Sunday, sir?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I am doing quite well, thank you very much. But we are going to talk about, is gaming healthy or is it a waste of time? And this is a very loaded question because so many people have very strong opinions one way or another. But we are going to play this quick little clip from the Joe Rogan podcast. He had Joe DeSena, which is the CEO and creator of Spartan Race. It is a long distance endurance type race. They have different versions of it, but he is that. And they started to talk about gaming and wasting time. And a lot of people didn't see the entire clip in full, so I believe that is a really big part of why so many people were outraged. They just didn't get to hear the entire clip. So we are going to shut up for a second and roll that clip.
I found, I don't know if you agree with this, there were a ton of kids along the way growing up as I was building my business that would say, oh, I'm not into this, I'm not into that, kind of like you described yourself.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything because they're
Right.
looking for that thing. And I would argue, do something. Do fucking something until you find that thing.
Yeah, I've never been that kid though. I've always been into things. I always was into art or I was into something. I always found things that I was interested in. Just none of them seemed like they were normal things that other people wanted to do for a living, like the path, like a career path. But I think that there's a lot of people that don't have any. There's no one. They're not modeling their life after someone that they see that they admire. Someone that's successful, someone that is doing something that they enjoy and love. Sometimes kids have to see that. Right. And if their parents are living a bullshit life and their neighbors are living a bullshit life and most of their family lives a bullshit life, they just fucking lay around, you know? Yep. And then they seek refuge in drugs or video games or something that stimulates them. And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, yeah, well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere. Right. It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school, and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like, that's the future. This way, you're doing something exciting and fun, and you don't. Or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
You have children. I have children, and it's a big battle in the house. Yes. And my kids, I don't know if you're going through this, but my kids are now saying, well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. That's a man.
Real too. That's right? Real too now.
So like, that's 1 in a billion, kid. Like,
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but, look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, do you know how few people make it as a comedian? I was like, okay. Does anybody make it? Somebody makes it, right? They figure out how to do it. They make a living. I'm going to do that. Yeah. Just stop. I know what I'm doing. I was real lucky that my parents were not around very much, so I didn't get much advice. So I figured it out myself. So there was no one telling me I couldn't do it.
Got it.
So
green fields.
I was like, I'm gonna find my way through this. And since no one's telling me it's impossible, no one's telling me I can't. Occasionally, I would hear someone say, "What are the odds?" I'm like, listen to this fucking loser. That's my thought. Was always like, that guy's a loser. Like, if you think like that, you're a loser. But there are kids that make a lot of fucking money playing video games. But the thing is, like, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to play multiple video games, because the one video game that you get really good at, what are the odds that's going to be around 5 years from now? Right. You know, like what's the big one now? Like Fortnite? Is that? Do they make money off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Call of Duty. They make money off that. What's the big money? StarCraft used to be the big one, right?
That, League of Legends, Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike is it's still the Half-Life mod.
Yeah, variations of it have come out, but it's still basically the same exact game.
They don't make money off Quake though, right? Not really.
Nah, really.
No.
One or two guys do, I think.
Yeah, see, it's you got to pick the right game. You know, you could be obsessed with the wrong game.
What are you going to do? You're going to spend 5-10 hours a day in that
You
house?
have to.
Right.
You would have to.
So some pretty interesting words said by both Joes, and kind of want to dive into it and dissect it a little bit as far as, most people heard the, video games are terrible for you. You spend 3 hours a day every single day, and in 3 years you got nowhere and you're going nowhere. And then afterwards they come back in and they're like, but there is this other side of it in which you can be very profitable and you can have a career out of it. And it is a very viable lifestyle, but the percentages of people that actually make it in that lifestyle are a lot smaller, just like his analogy to comedy is. So why don't I bring in Jfabiano to get his reaction to the clip.
See, my thing is, right, I think there's a few very big distinctive lines when it comes to this conversation. I think both sides have truth, because I've been really thinking about it, and I feel like I agree with both of them based on certain stages of my life. Like, sure, people can be profitable in gaming. And, like, people make very luxurious careers off it. Look at Ninja. I know that's a high example, but there's a lot of people. Even, like, Tim the Tap Man. He's been doing it for, let's see, I've been watching him for, I think, maybe 10 years?
Yeah, so pretty close to a decade.
Do it. It's crazy. But, like you said, it's a very low chance. So I feel like it's one of those things where you can grind and you can really, if that's your dream, I'm never going to tell someone don't put your dream out there. But I also don't think it's smart to stop your whole life and just pursue that. Like, if I see somebody really grinding and doing it on the side after they work or something, so they still have a way to make ends meet in case it goes wrong, well, so much respect. But I just think it's so hard to break that barrier, and you have to break the barrier. So, like, that I kind of get. There's more to it, but I'm going to let you talk a little now. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. When you make a really great point as far as, just the percentages are very low for people that actually make it out there and can actually do it for a career path. I think on just a, kind of answering the question, is gaming healthy or a waste of time? I like to say, it can be healthy. It can also be very unhealthy, depending upon how you treat it. If, as you say, you are taking care of things, if you're in school, you're in high school, you have grades that you have to make sure that you're getting so that you can move on with your goals, it is not the best idea to be spending 8 to 10 hours a day playing video games, whether it may be the, competitive scene or you're trying to be a content creator. There is just so many variables that go into what is making it in that field. It is always good in any person's life to have some sort of backup plan and being able to be like, you know what? I'm going to have this rinky dink, bagging groceries or being a store clerk or, working at Target or whatever it is. As long as, in my eyes, as long as you are doing a solid job in pursuing a career path in which you can fall back on, I don't think it's really that big of a deal if you go out there and start it kind of as a hobby, because that's what most YouTubers and Twitch streamers really started in the beginning. You were talking about Tim. He worked as a social worker for many of the years that he was streaming on Twitch because he's just an avid gamer, but he had his day job, which was paying his bills and feeding himself, but he did not go and say, you know what, I guess I'm done being a social worker, until he had made the amount of money that was going to basically make up for the lost income that he was going to do if he decided to leave his social working job. And I think that that's the best way to do it, honestly. And his situation is a little bit different than somebody, say, in high school or in college or something along those lines. So there's just so much nuance into what it actually is that your full ultimate goal is in gaming. Is your ultimate goal to be able to come home after 8 hours of work at a cubicle job or a manual labor job, and you just want to get out and, shoot some people, or get lost in a fantasy world, or just even getting on, the biggest game right now is Fall Guys, and just get on, and that is like the best game for de-stressing, I swear. Well, if you play it correctly, it can be incredibly stressful if you're going for that win every single time, which I think a lot of people really want that win. They want that crown, man. They want that crown.
Yeah. I wish I had a crown.
Yeah, me too. I haven't gotten one either. So there's just so much little nuance into it where it's, like, if this is your end all be all, this is what I want, this is what my goal is going to be, then it's no longer just the ability to, get in and start making YouTube videos or start streaming, because the bar is set so high now for content. There is so many creators out there that not only do they have their YouTube page, but they have their Twitch streaming where they get a lot of their content from. And then now some of the bigger guys, just because I'm into the Call of Duty scene, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, Courage, all of these guys are starting second channels. And so they're just even pulling more eyeballs away from the smaller creators, which I don't blame them. If I had the amount of content that they put out there, why not create a second channel and get hundreds of thousands of followers or subs and views, just from naturally what you're doing on stream? I completely get it. I don't knock them for doing it. It's a great business decision. It's just unfortunate that it draws so many eyeballs away from the smaller streamer that might be trying to get their start in the industry, and somebody that might have clicked on their video because, say Nick Merckx just did a video on the new LMG. Somebody else in the recommended could have, hey, I created this class with the LMG and it works really well. But instead of seeing yours, they're going to see his, the second page of Nick Merckx, and that's the more usually the funnier one. Not that his original one isn't funny, but it's just the content saturation from just sheer numbers of people doing it, and the very big people now coming out and trying to put out as much content as possible to diversify their revenue streams. It's just really, really tough if you're really trying to make it as a content creator. And this has been talked about ad nauseum, and there's so many things out there that people are like, it's like a 1% chance that you're going to even make it halfway to paying half of your bills or something. I just made that up, but it sounded good. So it is, you have to have realistic goals and expectations, and by no means I'm trying to downplay. Go for it. If you really enjoy it and you really think this is what you want to do, then have at it. And just realize it is not going to come overnight, and you really need to put a significant amount of your own time and effort into it.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Because when you think about it, it was like hit me. When I think of all these big name guys, you can think of years of grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were grinding, like, when you said it wasn't as saturated. Back then, like, you could make, it was not that it was ever easy, but these people, they did it before. Now everyone's trying to follow the same path in a way. So now, instead of having, like, let's say thousands, you have hundreds of thousands you're fighting against. And it still took those people so many years to get to where they are. Like, I can't think of somebody that I watch that really, like, someone big that hasn't been playing for at least 5 to 10 years. And you also have to think, when they were growing up, things were cheaper, things were not as easier, but the way the world is now, it's really, really hard to put all your eggs in one basket and just be like, I get passion and I get like, I want to do this. But you can't do all that risk for something that is kind of a long shot, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the biggest thing, is being able to have that fallback to return back on. But, both of us recently kind of went through a transitional period as to where we played a lot of games before, hours upon hours upon hours on, whatever game it may be. And we've both scaled back considerably. Me, because of I'm going to be starting school soon, trying to, get all of my content creation stuff up and running so that when the new Call of Duty hits the market, I can start doing stuff on that, because that's ultimately what my goal is. And so if you want to dive into a little bit of what happened in your life that made you reconsider the amount that you were spending on screen, if you will.
Sure. No, it's a bit more because I've been thinking about this for a while too. The way I look at it is, it's kind of, gaming is in stages, if you will. I'm gonna do some backstory because So, like you said, I've been playing games my whole life. Even like the N64, I grew up. I used to grind middle school and stuff when I wasn't with my friends. I was playing COD all day. Like, I used to grind, and even like I'd say, from like Battlefield 5, I started to pick up again on the grind. I grind Battlefield 5 hard, Battlefield 1. Like, I played considerable amount of hours in that game. And then I'd say around January, February, I started to slowly lose interest. And then quarantine happened, and I started to play even less. And I think the biggest thing for me is I'm at a big stage in my life where, like, I'm growing up in a way where, like, I was in like a rut, if you will. Like, I was an alcoholic, depression, all those fun things. So the way that I would do it was, I went to gaming to be my escape, which is good for people, and I get why people do it, because I did it. It's a break, it's something you enjoy, but it got to the point where I really took a step back, and I was like, the amount of hours I'm playing, this isn't healthy for me. Because deep down, I'm wasting time where I could be bettering myself in other ways. And another big thing for me was, I was like, all right, I really started to do self-care. So I stopped drinking. I started to put a lot more time. I started to work out. I started to cook. I started to do all these things. And when you start to do all these things, and then you have to be productive thinking about your career life, then you have all your issues. I had a girlfriend at the time. Like, when you add all this up, you have to take some sacrifices. And for me, I was like, it has to be gaming. I still game. Like, I'll play an hour here, an hour there, sometimes a few more. I still keep in touch with my gaming friends, some of the best people I've met on the planet. I love those people to death. They're basically family, which is another thing I want to get into. But the thing is, I realized that I had to stop relying on just gaming. Because if I did that, I wasn't going to be productive. And the mental health aspect, which I thought was helping me, and it did, because God knows I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't have gaming when I was in my hole. But I realized that part had to go for me to be who I am right now, and that allows me to be happy. So it's like, I feel like with me growing and me becoming who I am, it's more of, I wish it was still more in my life, but I know it has to go to be where I want to be, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that is very similar to what is, I'm a little bit further along in years than you, so me going back to school. Yes, no, you're not. So my transition of playing for hours upon hours upon hours, and then playing less, and then playing less. It's like, kind of came to that realization, such as you did, that this amount of time that I'm spending playing this game is not furthering my prospects for a second career, which, going back to school for esports business management, I do want to get into this as a job, where that may fall, whether it's, being a community manager, putting on events, tournament director, whatever it may be. that is an ultimate goal of mine, but I have not put my here and now in jeopardy by spending this amount of time. I'm no longer, quote unquote, wasting the time gaming. I still am doing stuff within the gaming sphere, content creation, doing this, doing all of my Call of Duty shoutcasting and everything like that. So I'm still within the gaming sphere, but I'm putting it to a productive use where it could lead to and hopefully enrich my career path moving forward.
For sure.
So it is, there is all of the, and everything is a big caveat. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, well, what about, the 15-year-old that won $1 million playing Fortnite? It's like, yeah, that's one person.
One out of how many?
One out of how many that tried to get that money. And so, I'm not saying, and exactly what you said, I'm not saying don't strive, don't try to be the best, don't try to, if you really want to be the best at Fortnite, then realize what it's going to take in the environment that we are currently in, or, name any game. Probably the biggest game right now would be either, Fall Guys or Warzone. And it is, everybody that starts on a path to being in the industry when a new hot game comes out doesn't think about, or rarely thinks about, in my opinion, all of the things that Rogan was talking about, of how you have to be extremely versatile. There is not one content creator out there. Okay, there are some that are able to stick with a single game for their entire careers, but it's extremely rare. And it is the ability to be versatile. So many people get famous off of their one game, but to remain relevant and continue their business growth and pages growth and being able to get higher up into the higher echelons of content creation and getting the deals where you can start a video saying like, hey, guess what, guys? I have a new Call of Duty creator code that you can use in the market, because that just happened. To be able to get into that and have that opportunity, even some of the giant names that basically shouted out Call of Duty from the very beginning, they don't have a creator code. I'm not going to get into the whole controversy over it, but right now it's a very select few people that have those codes, and they say it's going to be bringing in more people soon, which I hope they do, because they did leave out a fair amount of people that deserve it. But you have to remain realistic in whatever your goals may be, and really, as I've said before, put in the effort to be able to get where you want to go. So kind of doubling back, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about family when it came to this.
Oh, for sure. Well, friends, family. Yeah, this is something I just realized too. I think it's because I am guilty of this. Sometimes when we game, we don't, like, as I said, it's kind of an escape in a way, and you miss important things of life, if that makes sense. Like, don't mean, like, I will say, because there's two sides to it. Like I was saying, I've met some incredible people gaming. I talk to them on the daily. We don't even play all the time. I always talk to them. We talk about life. I'm sure I would have met some of them if it wasn't for COVID. I just got out of college, so it was hard before. But I do plan on meeting a good amount of these people before I die. These people are like a separate family to me. They're great people, and I love them. But the counter to it is sometimes we game so much, we miss so many important things in life. At least sometimes with me, like when I was in college, I was grinding a lot. Sometimes I'd miss my friends hanging out on a night or a moment or something. Like, I feel like I am guilty. I kind of stopped playing as much because of my girlfriend, because I put her over the game. But when you realize that these moments and these interactions you're missing, it's kind of like life is so short. It's so precious. You have to enjoy it every day. So sometimes missing those moments is so, you don't know what you don't miss. Like, even my brother, he plays all day. He doesn't do a lot other than game. And it kills him because I know he's missing so much, but he doesn't know it because he doesn't experience what I've experienced. So, what I'm trying to say is you need a great balance. I'm not saying don't play. I've had amazing lifelong memories. I'll be on games with my friends. But you can't get to the point where you're not spending time with your family, you're missing family moments. You're not your girlfriend, your wife, your friends. If you're at the point where you're working, coming home and just gaming, and you're not putting those people that you care about and love, I think when it's all said and done, you're going to realize you missed out on some very good memories that you wish you would have. At least that's what the realization I came to. I realized I was missing too much, and I had to find a proper balance in my life.
Yeah, and life is just a giant balancing act when it really comes down to it. Making sure that you are doing the things that provide you with the means, aka money, to be able to survive in this world, but also to really prioritize what exactly it is that is your priority in life. If your priority in life is to come home, say you're single, no kids or anything like that, you come home from your job, make sure that you're doing what you said, the self-care stuff, because that's extremely important.
Huge.
It's
I have a point about that after.
Just from being a human being, self-care is one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself. And, for a lot of people, that is just, it's very low on the totem pole of importance. And there is luckily been a more resurgence of people really taking their self-care more seriously recently, but there still are the people out there that just haven't realized that, hey, if I'm not eating well, getting out of, my house, getting a little sunshine, vitamin D, eating well, exercise, there's just so many things that you need to, in my opinion, put before you can really put so much emphasis on something such as gaming, that it's a tough thing to watch and see people not have that really great balance. But it's also, I think a lot of people get a little bit weirded out by it and not wanting to be like, hey, you spend an inordinate amount of time on X game or an inordinate amount of time on Discord. That's a whole nother ball of wax as far as Discord addiction. That there's people that spend literally all day long on there, and so have I, and it really reaps them nothing better than a distraction from real life. And I'm not saying that people don't deserve a distraction from real life. In all reality, yeah, everybody does deserve it, but there needs to be some priority shift when it comes to gaming. It should not be as high up on the totem pole for many people as it is for a lot of people. Granted, opinion right there, mine, but it's just a really great thing to be able to see that so many people are more focused in on being the more of a whole human being, as far as you don't really see a ton of the content creators out there, at least the ones that have made it. They have a pretty good life balance. They take weekends off, they take an extra Friday off and have a long weekend with their family, or they're also not missing out on those life events like you're talking about because of the game. They're able to strike up that balance, and I think that's probably a little bit easier for the bigger, higher profile people, because them missing a day of streaming, yeah, it's going to hurt them financially a little, but it's not going to break the bank by any means. So, what was the point? I completely forgot already. Boomer brain. What was the point that you wanted to make before? Oh, about self-care?
Oh, yeah, huge. Yep. I think this is a very, very important thing, too, because, like you said, it is, people don't, I'm guilty as it too. I just started to care about myself, my health, in terms of, because when I used to game, that would be the focus, like you said. So I'd wake up, I'd probably I'd probably be up to like 2 a.m. gaming, so I'd wake up. So my day's already starting at like 10, 11. You kind of get through the day, I game. The thing is, that was my focus. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't working out. I wasn't like doing like small stuff. And the thing is, sure, especially for me, who I struggle with like anxiety and stuff, I needed gaming. Well, I thought I needed gaming. But when I really started to I'm like, this not only isn't healthy for how I like my body, but I think it's healthy for my mind, but it's really not. So when I really took a step back, luckily I did, I started to do my self-care, which now I work out, I eat better, I do all this stuff, and it instead has improved my mental so much that I don't need that escape. It's like I'm finally just happy with what I have, who I am. So I think that emphasis on self-care, people don't realize it's not just like physical benefits and stuff, but the wonders it does on the mental too. It kind of just, it takes that burden away. And sure, don't get me wrong, I understand loving the game. Who doesn't love the game? But I think it's very important to not get in that hole of just grinding all the time. Like I've had some stupid hours on games. I think even Battlefield I had like 500, 600, 700 hours, which was not that much compared to others. When you really think about that time, that is so much time you're spending on a video game. And then you think about, do you think it's good to be hunched over staring at a screen all that time? There's a lot of things you have to factor. It's a great hobby. Don't get me wrong, I'll game to the day I die, but it's tough because in the end, it's kind of an addiction, or at least it was for me. And I realized I had to really reduce this to get where I wanted, and it was vital to becoming who I wanted to be, which who I am now is who I wanted to be. But if I still grinded all day with gaming, I don't know if that would be possible. Sure, that's my opinion, but I think it's important to realize self-care is so important.
Yeah, and it is a really great point. You know, ever since I have kind of transitioned away from the Battlefield scene and more into the Call of Duty scene now, and just interacting with a lot of these, frankly, teenagers / early 20s kids that are trying to, you know, make it to the CDL or Challengers or be on a team that's funded or whatever it may be. It's, you know, it is a worthwhile thing to pursue. But my only hope is that they realize what they're striving for, how much effort it's going to take, how much forethought and knowledge of marketing oneself, because that's a giant part of becoming a pro, as well as networking. If that is one of the things that I've heard a lot recently about, because there's so many people that have cropped up having podcasts now from the competitive world. And they've been having a lot of really great guests that have been talking about and saying, and I just heard Scump, to, you know, name drop somebody, talking about the fact that it was actually Nadeshot. Scump said something else. Nadeshot was talking about he was not the best Call of Duty player back when he was playing for Optic. He was, you know, he was good. He was better than average. But he said that his biggest asset was the ability to network and to be able to make good, lasting relationships. And unfortunately, for some reason, so many people within the small community of competitive players don't seem to be able to or understand that, you know, being able to network and also just being able to communicate in honestly, a non-confrontational way, because I mean, you know, the amount of, you know, back and forth between leaders and players and everything like that. And that's just not the way to do it. You're not going to if you're known as the guy that is constantly, you know, harassing the other team because you think you're better than them or something like that. And maybe you are better than them, and you want that stigma of being, you know, I'm the big bad guy here and everything like that. It's gonna effectively promote you for the short term, but for the long term, people are gonna be like, wait a second, Wasn't that guy like 2 years ago that I heard said some really crazy stuff to a team that they just beat in an Instagram DM or something like that? Yeah, that's definitely not the type of person that I want on my team or representing my brand. So yeah, we're going to have to pass on them. Granted, there is not much great people to look up to. There are a ton of people within the Call of Duty scene that are really great people that are, you know, just fiercely competitive. They will dip their toe into the, you know, back and forth kind of shit talking each other and everything like that. But for the most part, they're really great people that just want to play the game and compete. But then there are those people that are just there to, you know, it seems like they just enjoy the drama and they enjoy starting it. So it's just been kind of a really interesting thing to see within the lower ranks of the amateurs, and I don't even know if you can really call it amateurs, but just the lower ranks of the Call of Duty scene with all of these kids that are, you know, there's just so many people out there that are trying to get this one thing that the market saturation for that is difficult. And if you're not able to market yourself well and you're not able to network well and communicate well as playing out of your mind, I just don't see a real good pathway for somebody, whether it's, you know, Call of Duty or name any other competitive game out there. I just don't see it really working out for them. You know, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, just as there's exceptions to the rule and everything. But it has just been really good education watching some of these players just go out and honestly make fools of themselves by their comments.
You make two really good points. I think the first point you made about networking and stuff, it's not only a gaming point. I think it's just a life point. You have to be able to network. You have to be able to have those conversations. You have to be able to sell yourself, because there's always going to be competition for whatever you want. Whether it's gaming, going pro, jobs, anything. So that's a great point in itself. It's not just about being good at something anymore. You have to know how to talk the talk too. That's point one, and I agree with it totally. And point two, so true. Like, I used to play back in the old COD days with the toxic. Like, you heard everything the moon. And you still didn't deal with that. Can I swear on this? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there was a lot of swearing in the clip, so I'm pretty sure it's okay. And
okay.
Everybody else swears.
Right, I wasn't sure. You don't deal with this shit. Even with the battle, like, don't get me wrong, I get people having egos. It's part of comp and playing video games and competitive. People have egos. But even from what I've seen, there's a difference between having an ego and being so self-centered. People are saying so much nonsense. No one can get along. It's just toxic. It's at the point where, like, I'm completely done with the Battlefield community. I can't stand the community. All it is drama and toxic stuff. I've seen it all. I'm not going to get into names, but if you've been around, you know. If you can think of it, it's been around. From religious crap to race, sexual. It's awful. People just love to be nasty to each other. This is another thing. I'm so sick of everyone actually just having hate and stuff for no reason. And what Joe said, if you're that type of person, you can be the best player in the world. When it comes said and done, you're not going to get what you want. Like, you have to be approachable. I'm not saying you have to be no one's perfect. And people can mess around. I fuck around all the time with my friends. But, like, you can't be, like, an actual, like, rotten person. And I think I really wish the community would stop with all this toxic and this ego stuff and all this power hungry. Just people could just get together, play a game. You can have some friendly banter, but nothing serious, and after that, it's done. There's no drama, there's no nothing. You just play the next time, and that's it. That's a dream, because that's what it used to be. You used to have shit talk, but it wasn't like this. This is just like, it's like high school drama, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, and, you know, just talking about the competitive Battlefield scene, which I think is kind of a misnomer to what it actually is. It's a competitive scene that is run by the players. There's no sanctioning by developers or anything along those lines. It's not like, the CDL or anything like that. It is, there might be some, small sanctioning where you have a loose ties to, just DICE or somebody along those lines. But it's not like DICE has their CDL league. It's just non-existent. So do I think that they could create something that would be like that and would be highly successful? I do. I hope they do. I enjoy the Battlefield series immensely. But for the low amount of anything that you're really truly getting out of winning one of these, player run tournaments, it's not worth the amount of drama and stress and hate, as you said, put out there by so many people. We long for a competitive Battlefield scene, but if it continues like this and this bleeds into something that might be created in the future, it's not going to last. It just won't.
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's not even like you're playing for money or anything. It's bragging rights. It's like, I get it, but some of this stuff is really hateful and really toxic, and I know people that actually deeply hate people, and it's just like, how do you hate somebody for over a game?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I really wish that community. Well, for the next Battlefield, I know for Battlefield 5 it's a mess, but I really hope it gets a little bit better slowly. I just really for the next Battlefield, just a little more human aspect, a little more competitive fun. But once it's done, just be done. There needs to be a line, and sadly, people bring a lot of nonsense, and I'm just at the point where I'm just I don't care anymore. I used to feed it sometimes, depending on how bad it was. Now, I have so much other shit I worry about. I have no room for it.
Yeah, it is. There's just so many other things that really are, important to one's life rather than, hey, we kicked the crap out of you in the T8 last night, so we're the best. It's just all right, yeah, great, you're the best now, and it's just because there's no real sanctioning around it. It's player runs, so players are gonna do what players do, and unfortunately, the hatred and the animosity and all the things that come along with competitive are just compounded because nobody's really there saying anything about it. They're just everybody just kind of turns a blind eye and just oh, well, that's how it is. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be such a nasty environment to get into. So there's just so much that could be done in a different way that would be better for the overall community. And I'm sure that there is in any competitive scene. There's not many competitive scenes that I've ever heard of that don't have some sort of issue with toxicity or, teams going after each other or these, Twitter battles that happen between owners and stuff. It's just, the world thrives on drama. I get that. And, the more controversial that you can be without being outwardly offensive, the more you're going to put yourself out there. And it's a legitimate, if not unfortunately legitimate way to get your name out there, being controversial. But if you're just the controversial guy, eventually your controversy is going to push the edge, and you're going to get yourself seen in a very bad light / maybe even, excommunicated from said scene because of what you did.
For sure.
So
no, you're right. When I see Twitter stuff too, I'm that's what I think that ties into what we were talking about. I think this is my opinion. So before, I don't want to say, I think people take gaming more serious in real life at times. When I see people who have it's kind of they take their gamer tag as who they are compared to who they are in person, if that makes sense. Where it's they really want, like, they'll argue with this and that, but it's like their username. I'm like, why are you fighting people on Twitter? Why are you doing this? Why are you just? It should be a nice way to play, have some laugh, meet some good people, and enjoy a game. You learn, like, I get being competitive, but there's no need for toxic ever. And like you said, it always catches up to people. It always does. You can't outrun karma. One way or another, it's gonna catch up to you.
It always does. It always catches up to you. There's not, especially in the world that we live in now, where something you said 10 years ago could get you in hot water now and you get canceled. Mm-hmm. It's just being a good person is always the better thing. It might not be the better thing short term for your notoriety or for your rising up into the upper echelon of content creation, streaming, everything like that. But eventually somebody's going to see something and it will come back and it will find you. It seems to always happen. And it is, it's better and easier just to be the bigger person when somebody is, saying, oh my God, you guys are trash. You guys are terrible. Why do you even play the game? Uninstall, everything like that. It's just so counterproductive to what these people's goals actually are, and I don't think they realize it.
For sure. It costs nothing to be a good person. And the thing is, when it's all said and done, because I'll be honest, I've had some issues before when I had my issues being taught. Not like some of the stuff I see, but more when I was younger. This is more real life than in gaming. But I had a little bit of an ego gaming, and I'll admit that. I don't have it anymore. But I think the biggest thing is you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and to not have regrets or that doubt, or that you need to be content with who you are. And if you're just content with being nasty and whatever, I don't know what to tell you. But if you can just share good, be good. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm not saying you can't mess around here and there. I'm not saying anything. But if you can avoid the real toxic stuff and you can just be a good person when it's all said and done, I think that speaks volumes about someone compared to seeing someone who's toxic, doing this, doing that. Like, I could care less how good you are at a game when it's all said and done, especially when, like you said, in Battlefield, there's no real pro scene in Battlefield. It's all player stuff. So, yeah, I think that's a very important thing that this community needs to kind of shift gears towards.
Yeah. We can, as you said, moving forward, we can only hope that, cooler heads prevail and that really there is an emphasis put into the next Battlefield for an actual competitive scene. Optimistically, I hope that it's going to be there. Realistically, I unfortunately don't really see it. They said they had plans for Battlefield 5 for a competitive mode. That got thrown in the bin, just like so many other things in the game. But that's neither here nor there. So it is, just kind of want to try to, because we are running out of time a little bit here. I kind of want to just really circle back a little bit and kind of just talk about what it is that we've collectively talked about that makes gaming a healthy thing versus an unhealthy thing. And so why don't we, just first off, a healthy gamer is somebody that does not put gaming in front of their real life unless their real life is gaming. And you got to have that really good balance so that you can make your real life and your career and your money making through gaming. But up until that point, you really have to have that good solid balance of real life and gaming.
For sure. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And, in a way to kind of, so basically we're talking about, like, just to kind of spell it out for people, it's like, well, if you have your job and it provides you with enough money to put food on the table, pay your rent, whatever it is your obligations monetarily may be, and you want to spend a couple hours every night, playing multiplayer of whatever game it is, or loading in and playing God of War campaign, that's healthy gaming right there. in my eyes. And if you want to spend a little bit more because you have a little bit more extra free time because you're a high school kid that doesn't really, do a whole lot of extracurricular activities, which not doing extracurricular activities at school is a whole nother ball of wax that I don't really want to get into.
You have enough time for that.
If you do those things, you're not going to have enough time to game for a hobby. I guess maybe for an hour here and there, kind of as you're doing. But it is just being able to really realize. And if you have that actualized goal of, I want to create, and I am a creative person, I want to make videos on, the new Call of Duty or the new Battlefield, and I want to start a series and I want to do that, feel free. As long as you have the extra time to do it and it is not going to affect your real life obligations. And we say real life, but everything is in reality real life. So it's kind of a poor choice of words for it. But as long as all of your other obligations to yourself and your family and everybody around you are met, then yeah, have at it. Feel free to start that series. If your goal is to put out one video a week on a Sunday because Saturday you've got a good 6 hours of time to put out and create something, then have at it. And who knows, you might become, the next Drifter or the next, Nicky Merckx or any of the big famous people that we see doing this as a very, very lucrative career. Then that is your decision. I do believe in a lot of personal responsibility when it comes to stuff like this, so that if you're taking the personal responsibility to say, you know what, I really want to do this and I have the extra time, then great. But if you're sacrificing things for doing this when it's not really panning out as you had seen it 6 months into it and everything like that, you're still missing important events. You're still staying up way too late, not getting in that good self-care. I think that's just a really unhealthy balance of gaming and real life. So it is so imperative, just as we've said ad nauseum throughout the entire thing, that the balance be there.
For sure. If you don't have balance, you're gonna regret down the road. There's too many things. It's just not feasible to actually spend all your time gaming. I know that escape can be so important. I know people need it. Trust me, I needed it for a long time. But you have to realize that it comes with such a big cost. You can be ruining relationships that at the moment you think you might not are in jeopardy or whatever, but it's hard to put everything else aside and just game. And I get it too, because like I was saying earlier, I've met a ton of good people on here. And I have some great friends, so I get that aspect too. But like we were saying, you need the balance. It is so imperative that you have the balance. I can't stress it enough, because it's something I wish I knew 4 years ago. And it's so important. So important.
It really is. It really is. But any final thoughts before we get out of here? In context, I think that the clip that we watched is in context. I think it's really great advice. If you're just watching that 45 seconds to a minute clip that everybody reposted, kind of Rogan going off and being like, oh, it's a terrible hobby and it's just a time waste and everything like that, then yeah, you're going to have that opinion. And if that's what you want it to be, then that's what you're going to see. But in the context of the entire clip, I think it lays it out pretty well, in my opinion, as far as, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to realize what it's going to take.
For sure. And people don't also realize that Rogan grinded, I think it was Rage or something. I forget what. It's some old
Quake.
shooter. Quake, that's what it was. He used to grind constantly. He was what he gets it because he was there. That's the biggest thing that I've learned through my young life. And the thing, you people normally when people have advice like that, they've been in your shoes. And I know it's so hard to listen to it because most certain things you need to come up with your own. But I think Rogan is spot on because he's been in both and he knows deep down that it's not it. I think, too, it is situational based in a bit. There's a lot of gray area with this, but it's just the overall message. I think what they were saying is so spot on.
Definitely. And, as far as like, it's just like knowing the extent that he was going to grind Quake as much as he did. I mean, he had a T1 line installed in his old home way back in the 90s that cost $6,000 a month for him to be able to game on. Granted, he was, making good money and he had the ability. But he's said on multiple occasions how he has a real problem with it and he needs to be very careful with it. And especially anything that involves positive feedback loops, such as gaming, there is the actual like neurochemical, component of it.
Legitimately, it can become an addiction.
It definitely can, and it is becoming more and more prevalent unless people realize that there is that potential. So there's just so many things, and it doesn't help that a lot of the things that are so vital to becoming a successful person within the gaming industry are those things that have really negative feedback loops. Social media being one of them. That is another thing that you can become heavily addicted to, and it starts to interfere with your actual life. Because in my eyes, there's a big difference between a passion for something and being addicted to something. Passion for something is, if you took that thing out of your life and replace it with something else, it is that's not a really good way of explaining it, but
I think I know what you're saying. Maybe I can word it. The thing is, you can have a passion for something, but sometimes the difference between that and addiction is you can survive without that in your life. Sure, you might not like it or something. Like sometimes I've had passions where I've had to stop. The thing is, with an addiction, you cannot survive without it. Trust me, I get it. I get cravings all the time with alcohol. You won't understand when it's an addiction. You might not think it is, because trust me, most of the addictions I've had, I don't say I have them until it's all said and done. But you need to be able to take the step back, really think about it, and just test. Even, this is what I did. I used to take a day. I'm like, do I have urges? Do I constantly think about this? Am I like, and if I said that my body was craving whatever that was, I took a step back, realized this isn't healthy, this needs to change. And it's so hard to do, don't get me wrong. Some people can never do it. But I think it's important. Even gaming, people don't think it can be. It can be a very harmful addiction.
Definitely can be. It can be detrimental. And that was a really great way of putting it. Thank you for saving me on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So we are just about out of time, but really like to say thank you very much for coming out and being my guest for this episode. Thought we had a really...
Well, I love talking about this stuff, especially when I've been gaming my whole life. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks again. And so if anybody's out there that wants to get involved with Gamers We Care, we do have a Discord, which I do believe is down at the bottom with all of the panels. So you can click that link to join us in there and see all of the really great people and supportive people that we have within there, as well as following us on Twitter and Instagram. So that is going to do it for me, the Cup of Joe, and we will be bringing you another episode next week. Not sure exactly if it's going to be on Sunday at 2, but I do believe it is Trusted Beard, or maybe it's Mizzy.
Beard Hear You There.
Beard Hear You There, exactly. One of them will be back with a new topic and a new podcast for next week, but thank you all very much for coming out today and listening to us ramble about, is gaming healthy or is it a waste of time? And I think we kind of answered it can be both. So
For sure.
thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good
day, guys.
Bye-bye.